Hello, guys. We are live, ready to go. Grange TV, which I think this will be one of the last episodes where we are actually Grange TV. We will be changing the name very, very shortly. We're just here to chat about the fights on this wonderful, cold, chilly Friday night here on the New South Wales South Coast. Um, for those of you that are overseas, may as well say we're in Sydney. We're not far from Sydney. So here we are. We're here. We're going to discuss UFC 263. So I don't know. With we can start with the main event. We can start with whatever. We can also have a chat about the Bellator card, which we will be covering tomorrow. We'll be covering the Bellator card tomorrow at our time, Sydney time, 11 a.m. So please tune in for that one. That'll be our first ever Bellator card. Looking really, really, really looking forward to that one, actually. So just a sec. Can everyone see what's on the screen there? Can people tell me what's on the screen? If the screen changes at all. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that particular card as well. I haven't had a chance to really do a Bellator event before, so I'm really pumped for that one. We have Beetlejuice says, can't wait for this. We are here now, my friend. Oliver Ekman says, let's go. And Oliver Ekman says, let's go again, Fab. So yeah, man, I guess people are going to speak as the show progresses. We're going to speak more and more about the Adesanya card for sure. So I don't know. Let's see. Caleb Dowling says, hope you're doing well, Fab. Did you watch Clarissa Shields' debut? I did not. I'm afraid. I didn't get a chance to watch that. How was it? Please share that with us. Yes, I'm pretty pumped. Mitch Taz says, let's go, Nate. Okay. I think if you want to talk about that fight, I think I find that very interesting because over 3 rounds, I would have said to you, Leon, but I think they've made that a 5-round fight, even though it's not a co-main. It's been bumped down because of the Davison card. With that, I think the interesting thing with Leon is that he's a guy who uses his elbows very, very well. One of the few guys that uses it that well. Nate, on the other hand, cuts very easily. He's probably one of the people who cuts the easiest on the roster. So that's going to be a real interesting little battle right there and then. The other thing is I see both being southpaws. I see that being open for Leon's kicks. Leon's very good at angling and getting off that center line and throwing that kick. So I do believe he's going to use that weapon against Nate. He likes to clinch. He likes to come. Look, Leon will throw the combinations, come in, clinch, use the whizzer to spin people around, knee, and throw that elbow on the break. And I think that's going to be the tail of the tape in this fight. One of the things I see happening in this particular fight, I think he'll probably stop Nate with cuts, man. That's what I tend to think will happen in this fight because I do think that he's going to at some point land some sort of elbow on Nate, and I do think that he's going to cut him. However, I will say this: there's a couple of things that work against Leon, in my opinion. Number one being that he doesn't seem to have that one pop stop shop, power. I should put that on a t-shirt, and that's gonna. I think that's gonna be a little bit hard to keep Nate off him. That doesn't mean that he can't hit Nate and knock him out. He can. Thank you so much. My wife gave me a cup of tea, and it was boiling hot, but she was holding the handle, and I could only hold it with my fingertips and burnt my fingertips off. So if I commit a murder or something like that, nobody will be able to identify me. So yeah, I think that is one thing that'll work against him, but he does cut people with elbows, and Nate cuts very, very easily. The other thing is that he tends to fade later in the fight a little bit. I haven't seen him enough in a lot of 5-rounders to be able to say that he does, but I've seen him kind of slow down a little bit in those 3rd rounds. And as everybody knows, Nate just keeps going after 3, 4, and 5. So if the fight's still going at 4th and 5th, and Nate hasn't suffered a tremendous amount of damage to his legs and or cuts, Nate could win that. If not, I see Leon beating Nate. Oliver Ekman says, Fab, did you see the 263 press conference? I did not. I don't really watch the press conferences and all of that. Stinglmeister says, fabulous. Matthew Humby says, oh, that's right. I forgot Diaz was southpaw. Yeah, Diaz is southpaw as well. So that's going to be very, very interesting, I think, because um, those kicks are going to be coming hard and fast. And Leon is good on his feet. He's very nimble. He'll get out of the way and he'll throw those kicks. But I do believe that Nate's going to keep coming forward. Unless Leon can cut him, Nate's going to just keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. If Leon can't get him out of there with a cut or hurt him early in those first 3 rounds, I think Nate can take the fight over in the 4th and 5th. That's my opinion. Oliver Aikman, no, I did not see a thing. Oliver Aikman, the wife, 100% did that on purpose, probably. Hackinator says, why aren't double handle cups a thing? They should be, you'd think they would be. So that's that fight. I'm glad we got that one out of the way. Brad Galea says, did you see the face-offs today? Leon looked a lot bigger than Nate. Leon's a big boy, man. He's a big boy. But I saw Nate as well. Like, I don't know, until you see them in there and they're rehydrated and everything, because Nate's not small. He's a tall guy and that. And I saw him at I don't know where it was, but I met him before, and my mates met him, and he's a big guy. He's not a little guy. So I don't know. We'll see how they are as well once they're in there. So that'll be a very, very interesting fight. I do think Nate's going to try and walk him down, though. I do think Nate's going to just keep pressuring him and trying to make Leon move, keep making him move further and further towards, trying to get that fight as far as he can. I think Diaz and winner for Jojo Murphy has the biggest gain and Izzy has the most to lose this weekend. Yeah. Yes. Hackinator says Leon is hella tall, 6'1". Nate would be at least 6'1". Like I'm 5'11" and I'm not short, like as in like I'm 5'11", but like I kind of stand tall, if you know what I mean. Like I don't I look taller than what I am. I'm not actually that tall. And when I was near him, he's taller than me. So he'd be at least 6'1". Matthew Humby, Nate win by submission, maybe. He could. I mean, I can't, I don't know what the end result will be. That if I knew that, I would invest in Microsoft a long time ago. But yeah, he could, but he's gonna take that fight into deep waters. He's gonna walk him down and throw those combinations that the Diaz brothers love to throw, and they're so good at throwing. So that's my take on that. Then maybe we can skip backwards to the main event. I suppose people are going to be tuning in a sec, but Israel versus Marvin. I don't know who everyone has. I think Israel should win this fight. I think that Israel's very good, man. He's very long. The one thing that Marvin has in his advantage is that he's been there before and he's got a good understanding of the length and the timing of Israel. Israel's very good. He's very good at moving backwards and angling off, like moving backwards and finding an angle at the same time. He's very good at moving back, framing, and finding an angle. So he doesn't move like kind of straight back. So his movement's very, very good. He's big with the feints. And the thing with him is not so much in that he's fast, is that when he feints, you kind of like either you close your eyes or you lifted your hands or you moved, and then the shot's coming. So and he's Israel's a big dude, man. I'm telling you now, he's a big guy. Like Marvin's jacked, but Israel, like I've met him, a few times and that, and he's a big guy, man. He's a big fucking hands. His hands are like dinner plates. And I don't know. I think that Marvin had some success when he was able to move Israel back into there's 2 things that I see. And this is not me like, oh, this is what he should do to win, because these guys are experts. One of them's going to win, one of them's going to lose. I'm just saying the things that I've seen, just my experience with stuff. If he throws one-offs, because Marvin likes to throw that left kick and he likes to throw the big left hand down the middle. If he throws those, he's not going to hit Israel with them. Israel's going to move and counter him and, do what he did in the first fight. But when he started throwing volume and doubling up on the jabs and moving Israel up against the cage, he was able to get those takedowns on him in the 3rd round. He didn't do anything amazingly prolific, but he was still able to secure that takedown. So can Marvin move Israel back against the cage? Can Marvin throw those combinations, throw volume, double up on the jabs, when he throws the combinations to the head, kick Israel to the body, to the legs. Now, let's say he can't. It's going to be hard. It's not just, oh, this is what he should do. I'm not saying that, because I find that really, really patronizing, disrespectful, and condescending. Like, this is what he should do. No, I'm not. I don't mean it like that. I'm saying, like, we're just talking here. Bunch of friends talking about the fights. Um, I'm not saying thing, but I'm saying that's what I see. Marvin will probably try and do. And Israel's going to be Israel, and Israel's going to get off the center line. He's going to frame, he's going to counter. And it's going to be one of the things that really impresses me with Marvin, though, is like, even in the Kevin Holland fight, he I don't know, it was like 11 takedowns or something ridiculous, broke a middleweight record, but he still looked reasonably fresh, like putting in that kind of wrestling, like taking a guy down. Granted, Holland wasn't giving up a lot of resistance, but still, Vettori just showed that he has a gas tank to do that. Um, he's got a really good understanding of the stand up as well. He doesn't seem to have that crack, like a whip power, knock you out with one shot. Doesn't mean that he can't hit you and knock you out. Um, yeah, man, I don't know, but I think Israel's just a little bit too slick on the feet. Marvin Vettori was a kickboxer. He's been kickboxing since he was 13. So he was actually a kickboxer coming in, but most of his wins are like by decision, or by grappling, by guillotine choke, by those types of combinations of things. So very interesting. I do think that it's going to be Israel, though. Let me read some of the comments. Yayo says, do you think people are massively underrating how well Jan performed versus Izzy? I don't know. Are they? Like, I think Jan performed really well against Israel, and I think Israel performed really well against Jan. Just because you don't take the win doesn't mean you fought shit, or it was bad. Like, I think Israel gave a really good account of himself and put a lot of people on notice, even more so, because Jan's no fucking joke, man. And Israel did a good job against Jan. Jan won that fight. We commentated it. Jan won that fight, I believe, pretty convincingly, but Israel still gave a really good account of himself. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think middleweight to light heavyweight, though, I think that Jan is not as fast as the middleweights, and that could maybe have another thing. Because I would have thought that Israel would have had that speed advantage, and on the feet, it would have been more of a speed advantage. That's just me, I thought. Um, Tree Hugger says, here's a bright idea. What if every day there was in and we did every single what it could and maybe even have a great day? I don't even know what that means. Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. Someone just brought up watching press conference, so I'll ask you this. Fab, in your experience, how much can you get out of watching them stare at each other after weigh-ins and press conferences? Not much, man. I don't think. Well, because I know who you are. Um, sometimes you just feel shit. You feel shit and you didn't have a good weight cut. If you wrestled or did judo or did boxing or even played football, you don't feel good, you feel shit, but then the next day you still go out and you perform and you have the game of your life or the fight of your life or the match of your life. So unless someone's like completely out and out, they're sick or there's something wrong, not really, man. Not really. Because even, people go, so and so is afraid. First of all, like, they're not. And second of all, even if you are, that doesn't mean you're not going to be able to fight well. Some people are different to others. So it's very, very little, that you can really tell, at the weigh-ins and the press conference. Man, I saw Romero too. He looked at the weigh-ins like I was fucking there, like this far away from the microphone, away from him. And I was looking at him thinking, this guy's gonna fucking die. When we were at the back and he was point 0.2 over, like, he was in a bad way, man. He was in a real bad way. And I was sitting there looking at him, like, I don't know if you see it on TV or whatever, if you could actually see how bad this guy was. And I thought, this guy is like, fuck, man, are we, like, we're talking about him fighting tomorrow? Like, Jesus Christ. Next thing you know, he turned up and fought a hell of a fight. So no, you can't really tell a lot. And people react real different, man. People have real different reactions to stuff, just when you talk about mind games as well, the loudest guy isn't always the most confident, isn't always the one that's winning the mind games. Like there's people that are just quiet, there's people that are low key, nothing phases them. And they don't care. They're not going to outwardly show you that they care. Um, it there's dudes out when they cut weight, they look really, really pale because they're really, really white. So all of those things matter, like, and it doesn't. So not a great deal. But you guys tell me what you saw at the press conference. I generally don't watch it. Yo-Yo says, "Do you think people are massively under?" Oh, the reason he was able to get the takedown was because he was able to stand with him and arguably best him. I absolutely agree with you, Yayo. Like a lot of people don't understand that. Jan was able to stand with Israel and do very well, and he landed that liver kick with the left foot. Watch that fight. Watch how many times he lands it. He doesn't land it hard, but a kick from that behemoth in the liver over and over and over again starts to slow you down, starts to sap your strength, starts to slow you down slowly, but surely. Not enough. It's not going to stop a seasoned and weathered guy like Israel, but it's going to give Jan enough looks, enough different things for Jan to start being able to set up the takedowns and whatnot. So yeah, it's not easy, man. It's not an easy thing to do what Jan did against Israel. Mitch Taz says Israel wins, but only because I want Bobby Knuckles to be the one to beat him. Yeah, I mean, that's a different thing. Randy says, yo, and Corey McManus says, what's up? Rob, good to see you, mate. Okay. Fab Corey McManus says, Fab. Oh, okay. Joe Schmo says, good afternoon, Mr. Wadoom. Good afternoon, sir. Top of the morning to you. Oliver Erkman says, I've got Marvin. I used to not like him, but since the Jack Hermanson fight, that's from Oliver Ekman. Funny thing, man, is like I didn't think he was going to beat Jack Hermanson. And Jack Hermanson he's got some real decent. His wrestling, whilst it's his strength, his wrestling is not phenomenal against a good wrestler. It's not. You saw he attacked Gastelum, and Gastelum was able to reverse it rather easily with a lateral drop, and then he fell into those heel hooks. Not fell into them, but he was actually very cheeky and very clever the way he set up that heel hook on the far side from the whizzer on this side with his left arm. He does that, and Vettori impressed the hell out of me because he shut that down completely. He cross-faced with the left hand so that Hermanson couldn't get underneath him, right? Because Hermanson was trying to elevate him. So Vettori was onto it, man, and Vettori out-wrestled him. But you saw on the feet, even though he had some good counters, even though he did have some success with Hermanson, he wasn't able to put Hermanson away on the feet. But I was impressed with his ability to wrestle Hermanson. I'm really, really impressed. Corey McManus, you didn't insult me, mate. Oliver Ekman says the biracial angel. I'm also a biracial angel. Yayo says, we really appreciate your thoughts and breakdowns. Makes my day all the way from Lagos, Nigeria. Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you, sir. And I really appreciate you watching, and I really appreciate all the support, guys. And if you haven't already, please do the like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This is one of the last times you are going to be seeing us as Grange TV. We will be rebranding. We will be changing the name over the course of the weekend. And at some point, we're going to get rid of that neon sign. So this is a bit of history, guys, a bit of history. When this blows up one day, you can all say, I knew him when. Matthew Humby says, Izzy made Marvin rage a bit in the press conference. In fairness, I don't think he made him do shit because I think Marvin rages all the time. I don't think that that Israel made him. I don't think it would take a lot to make Marvin rage. And people react differently, dude. People react differently to stuff. Like my wife and I react so different. Like if we have a disagreement, we are so different in how we interact and how we approach a situation. We're just so different. It doesn't mean that things affect her more or affect me less. We're just really, really different people. So you can't read too much into that, dude. You can read into sometimes people will act a lot different to how they generally act, but Other than that, no. And even then, that doesn't mean anything. Kenahuna says, how come they allow point 0.5 over now, but Romero was point 0.2 over and they fined him? I don't know. I don't know, but I remember at the time it was point 0.2. You couldn't be point 0.2 over. Who was point 0.5 over? Because if it was, you can be point 0.5 over if it's not a title fight. If it's a non-title fight, you can be point 0.5. But a title fight, you have to be on the money. You have to be 185 means 185. 205 is 205. But if it's a non-title event, you can be 205.5 or 185. You can even be 186 because I think the point 0.2 might have been in grams even. I can't even remember with thing. But no, I don't know if they've changed it, but at the time you had to be on the money. If not, you get fined. Ian Marr says, nice surprise. Hope you're well, Fab. I am well, sir. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be able to do this, man. I'm really happy to have the fights on the weekend so we can talk about it. I love talking about fights and watching fights. I don't like the whole drama and all the bullshit. You know, generally, I don't watch your press conferences and just the silliness of it and all. But I don't think it's silly for people to watch it. I think it's entertaining. And if you like watching it like a soap opera, it's fucking mad and watch it and it's cool. I mean more like I just like watching the actual fights, you know. Um Jab, hook, cross, uppercut. You, sir, are a genuine champion and a gentleman and a scholar, and wish you all the best, my friend. So thank you so much. Thank you for the support, guys. Means a hell of a lot. It means a hell of a lot. Liam, sorry. Liam McHungry says, if 95% of mental life is unconscious, how people feel is only a part of it. That's fucking deep, dude. That is very deep. So thank you for that. It is true. I don't know what the figures are, but it makes sense. How you feel, and not only that, then it's how you feel, and then how you see how a person feels is completely different. Like you see that with other areas of mental health, where somebody goes, "Oh, I can't believe so and so killed himself. He was the life of the party. He was always the happiest guy or girl or whatever." Da 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 da. But you don't know. You don't know what people are feeling in that. So saying at a press conference, you can tell because this and that. Man, the press conference is such a fake environment. It's so unrealistic. So the guy who's the louder guy, the guy who's quicker witted, the guy that the UFC likes, you know what I mean? Those guys are going to be focused. You know, everything's going to be better for them. But it's not. It's like if instead of at the press conference you made everyone play instruments, it's going to be the guy that's the best instrument player. You know, so it's not it's not indicative of who's feeling better or whatnot or blah blah blah. Dine says, I remember there was a video for Romero too where he was sort of limping and needed assistance walking down the corridor. Dude, I was standing right next to him, like right in front of him, man. And I fucking, the dude was breaking down, man. I've always been a fan of Romero. Like I watched all his wrestling career and all of that. And obviously I was, obviously my eggs were in another basket, but I was just watching him going, this guy, like, I know how stoic he is. I know how tough that guy is. And he was hurting, man. He was hurting. He was in pain, dude. You know, so he was in a lot of bother. The Hungarian Hustler says, Fab at dark. Love the change up. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support, man. Fabod says, big man Fab. I'm actually not that big of a guy. The conscientious objector says, Marvin is always raging. Nothing new there. Agreed. Mad Ma says, Marvin for the win. He could do it. The conscientious objector says, Jan was outstriking Izzy. Keep it real. Like, I didn't say that he didn't. So I don't. Are you addressing that to me? Because you can watch my my commentating, man. I didn't think that it wasn't. Ian Marr says, I start off a pale blue. It takes a couple of days in the sun to go white. Man, today I was just mucking around with this kid, and not doing anything amazing. We're kind of boxing a little bit, and he's a white kid, real white kid, and I punched him, and he hit him like, but I would have punched him like that hard, you know, right here on the eye, and he got this fucking like this welt across his face. It looked like I felt so bad. I thought, man, I'm like sorry, you know. And he's like an accountant. He's not like a. We were just there to muck around. Zemooks, I'm good, mate. How are you? Alex Taylor, this Marvin fight wouldn't be happening if Marvin had to fight Rob. I feel like what the UFC did to Rob was dirty. All that time off from recovery, then his hardest fight ever. Can't wait for the rematch. Yeah, look, the problem is, dude, I don't think it was his hardest fight ever. Like Romero was a fucking hard fight. There was some hard fights there. But no, but definitely, look, it wasn't the best thing that he like. It wouldn't have been optimal, but he held the belt, so it's not like he had a different option. Like it's not like he could have said he would have had to fight. I don't know, fucking. I'm just making this up. Like Romero again, or would have been some hard dude at the start, you know. So you got the belt. Like he's not going to go and fight in at a local show and get a couple of tune-ups or fight number 25, you know. So he would have had to fight the best guys, and Israel had been, you know, he beat Gastelum at that point. So there wasn't really much that you could do. It's not like boxing where we could have said, "Oh, let us fight a non-mandatory guy," and we go and pick a taxi driver. We couldn't do that. If not, it would have been mad. We would have got someone, would have dragged someone off the pokies on a Friday night and made him fight Rob. I think Jan was also Izzy's first fight with someone whose reach was similar to his. Interesting point. I think in MMA, at least in the top and the upper echelons of MMA, competent strikers that have his reach, yes, I'd say that Jan had comparable reach. Um, Nightwalker says Devasson's delusional because he looked unstoppable with submissions and knockouts that I knew he's not what he says he is, and he lost on his last fight, which shows he was never a god of war. Okay, let's talk about that fight. I don't necessarily agree. Conscientious Objector says Figgy will wreck Brandon this time. Look, I think that we had Brandon Moreno on the podcast here. I like him. I'm going for Brandon. I like him a lot. Um, please watch that if you get a chance. Moreno Moreno has a really good chin. Let's start there. He's got a really good chin. He can box. He can box. He comes forward and throws combinations. But he doesn't have that pop that the Vason has. So he's not really putting the Vason down or out with it. You know, he is a grappler. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. Very good jiu-jitsu guy, man, in that flyweight division, and that matters a lot if you're fighting guys that aren't the Vason because um, generally flyweights don't have that power that Figgy has. So Moreno was throwing shots to the body as well and he got the Vason out of those first two rounds, which is where Figgy is very, very devastating. He was doing stuff where he's dropping his level, throwing to the body, and kind of getting caught there as well when he's throwing those shots to the body. Another thing that Moreno does well is throw that left high kick in combinations. Like he throws it pretty well. He did it against Kai Kara France, where Kai's got a big right hand, another guy that hits hard in that flyweight division. Which see, you have these guys at bantamweight and flyweight that fucking whack. So he throws it up, that left high kick at the end of a combination and makes you keep that right hand at home. And if you don't keep it at home, it's obviously going to hit your head. Or you can throw that left kick to the body like Jan did to Israel. He hits the body or hits the arms and it starts to wear it away. So they're little things that he did well and he could do better against Figgy moving forward. I see Davison being able to, he's going to try and land, some big shots and come forward, but he's a kind of like a bit like a Francis Ngannou of that flyweight division. Like there are some technical and tactical things that he could do a little better. I think both those guys could. But if they hit you early in the fight, if you're in a lot of trouble, man, you're in a lot of trouble. I don't know who wins that fight. I really don't. I think Figgy also lost a point in that fight, and that's what gave him the draw. Corey McManus says Hermanson should be wearing a helmet with horns. Guy's a Viking. I agree. Oliver Ekman, yeah, Marvin shut that shit down with Jack. Same with Holland. Yes, he did. Matthew Humby says Izzy's legs are pretty dangerous. They're very, very fucking dangerous. That's what I see with that. I see him like Marvin as he moves him back, like as he moves Israel back, he has to throw those Like he can't throw one off. So he has to throw combinations to the head, double up on the jabs, kick the legs, kick the body, double up on the jabs, then shoot the double. Now, when I'm saying this, I don't mean to be flippant. I don't mean to be condescending because it is fucking hard. It's not just as simple as that. Brad Galea says, I don't see the UFC coming back to Australia until they don't have to quarantine for 2 weeks, which could be years still. And that upsets me. True. I agree with that. I don't know what the quarantine things are going to be. I don't know. Um, I don't know about any of that. I don't know what the laws are going to be like. I don't know what it's. Yeah. I I would rather they don't because I don't want COVID here, any more than what we already have it. The conscientious objector says, has Izzy got his gyno titty back? I do not know. Jude W says, Fab, do you think Moreno can take Figgy's shots again? It just depends where they land, dude. Like, if Figgy lands it early when he's fresh, flush on the chin, no. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't matter how good your chin is. You can't take shots from a big hitter on the chin. He can kind of like he might be able to roll with it. He might be able to move and get out of the way. But the thing that he's got going for him, he's got a good gas tank. He's got a good chin. His stand up's pretty good, man. And he's able to throw these combinations. And I do think that the major thing for him is going to be taking Figgy out of that first, second round, outside of those first 8-9 minutes. Down the stretch, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And that's the game, right? Can he take Figgy out of those first 2 or 3 rounds? Corey McManus, I will, sir. Johnny Watson says, slightly off topic, but do you think Nate stands any chance against Leon? What's the best route to victory? Johnny Watson, you are not off topic. We did cover this earlier in the show, but since you're a champion bloke, we'll talk about it again. We're here to talk about fights. Like I said earlier, I think that Nate's going to try and come forward. I do think that Nate has a lot of chances. I think Leon stylistically is a bad matchup for Nate. The two southpaws that leaves Nate's leg exposed for the kicks. I covered this earlier, but I'll do like a real quick rundown. Leon throws the elbows. He does throw a nice elbow, and he's one of the better elbow throwers in the division, probably in the UFC. And Nate cuts. He's a prolific cutter. He gets cut badly, so that's not a good combination of things for Nate. Having said that, I've seen that Leon doesn't seem to utilize one shot like stopping power. Doesn't seem to be one of those guys that stops you early in the fight. So Nate has got a great chin. He's known for his durability. He's going to come forward. The other thing is, for someone that goes like that to decisions, he kind of fades a little bit. Does Leon? He doesn't have whereas Nate just keeps finding another gear. Leon doesn't do it like that. So if he can't cut Nate open or knock him out early in those first 3 rounds, I see Nate being able to just keep putting the pace on Leon and walking him down. That is what I think Nate's going to try and do. So he's got a good chance, but I think that Leon's going to try and butcher that lead leg and rip him open with elbows. Greatest Adventurer says, I think Vettori pulls it out. He's got the blueprint from Jan and has enough power to keep Adesanya honest. He dropped Hermanson, and he's going to get the takedowns. He's also got that strong marble head. Greatest Adventurer, I do believe that there are ways for Vettori to win. I do believe that. I do think that. But I don't think that he will. Having said that, every time I've said that about Vettori, he wins. So who knows? Rob McKenzie says, hey Fab, do you think someone like Rod Tang could dominate in the UFC? You know what the thing is, man? Like, it just depends, man. Like, let's say Alex Pereira, right? And I only say, I don't want to, you ask me about Rod Tang, I don't want to talk about someone else, but I'll give an example. Say Alex Pereira, he beat Israel twice, knocked him out the last time. Israel had a fantastic run in the UFC, right? But people don't understand is at any time, dude, when these guys are throwing bones at each other, anyone can get clipped and it's over. You're out, If he's matched up correctly and allowed to, I'm talking about Rodtang now or Pereira, if they're matched up correctly, yes. You know, two bad matchups, no. You know what I mean? Like it already changes everything, you know? So, I mean, potentially, yeah, he could. He could do really well. Yayo says, you are right with the liver kicks. Jan also checked kicks and kicked back immediately. 100%, sir. You have to kick with a kicker. You have to. My question is, how important is leg reach in checking kicks, especially when back at middleweight contenders? Um, I mean, having long legs in a kicking contest is always going to be beneficial, but it's more about your timing and your placement. Israel has not only the reach advantage, but he knows how to use it and he knows how to angle off and fire those shots, and he does it so well, and he does it with not much tell. Um, but it is important, like leg reach when you're checking the kick. You don't have to have long legs to check a kick, but you have to kick with a kicker. Because if you give him that range and you let him do what he does, he's just going to pick you off and keep you at that leg range. So, for example, if he kicks and you check and you kick straight back, he's now checking or moving. So he's not just kicking you again. Or if you kick him, he has to move. He has to move. He has to check. He has to do stuff. So that starts to open up other things. So you can throw a kick and come in with punches. You can throw a kick and start trying to set up your takedowns. You can't let a good kicker keep you a kicking range and just take off on you. Boom, 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 boom. You can't. Um, the Hungarian hustler says, don't underestimate the power of getting into the head and under the skin of someone who is easily triggered emotionally. Izzy got this. It will be a Costa repeat. I don't underestimate that, but you got to understand sometimes it's not who you think or the fact that people reacted a certain way or whatever. Because to me, Costa fight, I don't really see it going any other way. No matter how clear, calm, or collected or whatever Costa is, I don't see Israel losing to Costa outside of Costa hitting him with something. Hackinator says, yeah, it was 200 grams. Yeah, 200 grams. It was what it was in that second Romero fight. Kenahuna says, title fights have to be on the money. I feel that. Yeah, some of those fights like Ferguson versus Darius had fighters zero point 0.5 over or something. Yeah, doesn't work. If Yoel shaved his beard off at the time, he would have lost 80 grams. He was overweight. I don't think he had a beard in that fight, dude. He didn't have a beard in that fight. Corey McManus' press conference was very entertaining last night. Crowds are letting off steam big time. All right. Kenahuna, how do you feel about Moreno coming in with a bigger camp this time? Said he had 3 weeks to prepare last time. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you something else, man. If you're fit all of the time, sometimes it doesn't matter because um, sometimes it helps to have a short camp. You know, you're not injured, you don't have as much time to stress about your opponent as possible as like what you usually would, and you just make the weight and go. So it happens really quickly. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. Sometimes having those 8-10 weeks to stress over someone is not that great. You know, so yeah. Joe Schmo says, such a gentleman, Mr. Fab. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Kenahuna, his backstage interaction with Bobby Knuckles and Romero's daughter was super wholesome. Chase T. Newen says, Friday night, hey Fab, good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Andre says, Moreno seems to be under Figgy's skin, or could it be Figgy is miserable from cutting weight and doesn't like the guy? Haha. Yeah, it could be any of that stuff. And if someone gets under your skin, it doesn't mean that they're controlling your mind and all that stuff. Oh, the conscientious objector says the Jan Izzy comment was not aimed at you, Fab, mate. Oh, okay, cool. Nah, I was just like, man, I thought Jan did really well in the stand up. Nightwalker says Devation's delusion. Oh, okay, I think you mentioned that before. Matthew Humvee says, ha ha ha. Andre, I think Izzy will be a step ahead Marvin this weekend. I think he wins a clear decision. Yeah, I don't know how he's going to win, but several steps ahead. Oliver Ekman says Fab's punching out little kids. He wasn't a little kid. He's like a grown man. The conscientious objector says Izzy could well lose this weekend. He could. I agree. Marvin is no joke. I do agree with that. Salah Ahmed says, anyone think it was a bit rich of Adesanya to be throwing steroid allegations at Vettori with his gynecomastia, which showed up out of nowhere? Did it show up again? The gyno again? Or thing? Sorry, guys, I'm going to skip a couple of them. I really apologize. Um, Hi, coach. Do you think Nate smoking weed 2 days before his fight is a huge negative for his performance? Not necessarily, because I think he's someone that smoked weed all the time, and weed, like any other drug, has a different effect on different people. So for some people, it will affect them in a positive way, and for me, it will not. My friend gave me, if he's listening, you fuckwit, he gave me, you know who you are. He gave me a cookie, a hash cookie, and I had half of it. Right, this is not even that long ago. This is a few months ago, and I never have any of this shit. Right, but I had half a cookie, and dude, like I was, there is no way that anything positive would come out of that for me. For me, whereas other friends that I have who can do that and go surfing or can do that and roll, dude, I was like in such a bad state, such a bad way, for days afterwards. Like it was a disgusting feeling. Like I would not, no. But then I've got friends that like I said, like they can have a couple of those cookies and go and have a surf, go write an assignment or whatever. And I can't even think of it. Imagine doing that. Kenahuna says Figgy did lose a point for smashing Moreno's balls. Then he says he was being a crybaby and wants to go for his head. Um, yeah, I think that he did lose a point. So you know what I mean. It wouldn't have been a draw. Raj says, "Hi, I'm from India. My name is Raj." Hello, Raj. My name is Fab. Good to have you here, brother. Salah Ahmed says Moreno has shown he can take Figgy's power. I expect him to be more aggressive this time. Figgy isn't the same fighting on the back foot. Agreed. That's very true. But you can't take too many of those shots, dude. Sorry, I'm going to skip a few just to get to thing. Hanoi Tripper says, why do you think Vettori was so mad today? Izzy also got triggered, but Vettori was nuts. I think Vettori's just like that. I've seen him do that shit a million times. But he actually doesn't seem like a bad guy. Hold on a second, people. I have to get some socks. My feet are fucking frozen. Yesterday was like the coldest day in Sydney in, I don't know, however long, 50 years, 100 years, I don't know, something crazy, which was 7 degrees during the day, which for us is very cold. And my house is a cold house. So however cold it is outside is how cold it is here, minus the wind chill factor, which here, where we live on the south coast, it's very, very windy. So it's probably, 7 or 8 degrees plus the wind chill here. So inside my house is probably 8 degrees, 9 degrees. Fucking cold for a house. Says Syracuse says, I think Izzy will KO Marvin this time. He might. He might. I am the belt says, I want to see Peter Yan versus Figgy, two badass killers. See there, I think Peter Yan wins that fight. I don't see Figgy beating Peter Yan. I just see Peter being very savvy on the feet. He's had like 130 amateur fights. He's master of sporting boxing. Very clever, very savvy guy. Hits hard as well. He can whack as well. I'd pay to watch it. I'll do a commentary. I love it. But I think Peter Yan beats him. Conscientious Objector says Figgy was really ill in the first fight. Well, if he was, because I read that too, If he was, then we're going to see it in this second fight. Oliver Ekman says Marvin is always nuts at Hanoi Tripper. I agree. Nightwalker, what do you think about Nate smoking dope at the press conference and offering dope to Brandon and Vettori? Laugh out loud. I think that was very nice of him. I think that was very, very nice of him and shows that he was brought up with manners. Real Bretham says apt analysis. Thank you, sir. Leon Newman says, bro, Israel gonna win, right? I don't know, man. I don't know. If I knew that, like I said, if I could tell the future, I would have invested in Microsoft, which I had no money anyways back then. The conscientious objector says we need to see Yan wreck Sterling ASAP. That's going to be a cracker fight too. The conscientious objector can't believe UFC haven't rebooked that fight yet. Yeah, me too. I would have thought that would be rebooked. Bald-headed chimp says Leon looks so much bigger than Diaz at the face-off. I think Leon does a job on Diaz like Masvidal did. Possibly. He's a big boy, mate. Okay. Steve Booth says, so I want to finally get the chance for revenge next fight, but I also want Izzy to lose. What do I do, Fab? Just be you, mate, because that's what's really cool. Ken Ahuna says, do you think Thailand and Muay Thai fighters are averse to MMA? There is more money to be made, I suppose. It's, you know what that's like to me? This is just me, just fucking throwing this out there. I think that it's like Turkey, Azerbaijan, um, in Russia still, you know what I mean? The really good wrestlers in Azerbaijan, Turkey, all the Stan countries, you know, Uzbekistan, then the other Ukraine, all those ex-Soviet states. Then you got like in the Asia, like Iran, countries like that, where wrestling is massive, man. Their wrestlers are fucking high level. And you would look at that and think, man, wouldn't these guys just have some killer MMA dudes coming out of there? And I'm drawing this parallel with Thailand for what I'm going to say. But I think like if you win a gold medal in Russia in wrestling, you're the shit. Like you don't need to go to MMA for to get money. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to. If you win, you can if you want to. But yeah, if you win worlds and you're in Turkey, you're pretty much set. You know what I mean? Like you're not things. So I think if you're um Lumpini Stadium champion in Thailand, you're the man. You know what I mean? And people know you and they respect you and the rest of it, like at a different level. Like so the people are training wrestling for wrestling to wrestle and only to wrestle. And I think that's the case with the Thais as well with Muay Thai. I'm sure there'd be a lot of guys that if they crossed over, it'd be a massive thing for us as Westerners. You know what I mean? Like or countries that MMA is big. But if you asked a kid growing up in Iran and said, "Would you rather be MMA champion or bring a gold medal home to Iran in wrestling, Olympic freestyle wrestling or Greco wrestling in Iran? You come back with a gold medal, you're the fucking man, dude. They'll sing songs about you." And I think that's the same thing with Thailand and the Thai boxers. Oliver Ekman says, the conscientious objector, I think Aljo is trying to hold that belt as long as possible without fighting, but he did get that neck surgery. Oh, if you got neck surgery, it's no joke. So I'm going to skip a few guys. Apology. Um, okay, Hungarian Hustler says, I really took notice of what was said to get certain reactions from Marvin when Izzy dropped facts. He reacted in a way I could tell he knows what Izzy said is true. Izzy made me believe he's that MU. I don't know what MU means. Don't read into it too much, man. I've seen Marvin go fucking nuts, and I don't even watch. I don't even watch like the TMZ MMA kind of shit. And I've seen Marvin go nuts too many times already. Um, okay, I'm just skipping a few. Um, what did the weed cookie do? No, my point, Dante, is not that it's different to smoking. It obviously is, but I'm saying there's people that they'll smoke but even like thing like they'll smoke or they'll eat it and they'll still be fine. Like they'll still function and everything. Me, what did it do to me? Dude, I was fucking like, I couldn't feel my body. I was like this, and then I started getting in my head and fucking panicking and that. And my wife's like, "Don't panic, just stay still. What are you doing?" Da 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 da. Da. And then I just walked for about 4 hours because I couldn't. If I stayed still, everything went numb. So I just paced up and down my living room for 4 hours. So pot has an adverse effect with me. I wouldn't. If I took that and fought, I'd get fucking killed. But there's other people that it wouldn't affect them. Yeah, it was definitely a body stone effect. But like I said, I've got friends, a lot of friends that will have that cookie that I have. They'll have a couple of those cookies and go surfing, and they'll be sweet. You know what I mean? Or they'll go and do whatever, and they'll be sweet. You know, go and do jujitsu, and they'll be sweet. Whereas me, no chance. You know, so that's what I'm saying to you. It just affects different people differently. Um, okay, I'm just going down the list a little bit. Sorry, guys. Sorry if I skipped you, guys. I just got a lot of comments on here. The Hungarian hustler says, just grabbed a pair of socks to put on also. Great idea. Corey McManus, nice. The €5. Love your channel, Fab. It's like sitting down for a chat with one of the boys, unrelated to fights. Are you still surfing? Shredded, dude. I am still surfing, man, but I'm fucking terrible. I'm not shredding anything. I'm just barely trying to survive. I try my best. The guys that I go with are really, 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 really good surfers. That's why I haven't drowned yet. But yeah, no, I don't like. I'm nothing amazing. Far from being anything amazing. So yeah, no, thank you, man. I really appreciate it, man. And that is exactly what we're going for, guys. I want that environment where everyone can have a chat. And you know, if we have people that start shitting on fighters or asking inappropriate questions, just have to ask you to leave. Thank you so much for the support, guys. It means so much. Um, Corey McManus says, laughing my ass off. Those edibles are dangerous, dude. Dude, my face looked like, yo, if you could feel my face, like, you know, my wife was looking at me. I was sitting down and I was like, you can't, because I don't take anything. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't take anything. I can't even drink coffee, you know. I used to drink coffee a fair bit, but nowadays, if I drink coffee, I get fucking mad anxiety, like fucking insane anxiety. And I can't handle it. Like I don't handle anything that well, you know. Um, yeah, and the edibles just fucking sent me over the edge, man. Like I was so bad, I couldn't feel my face, and I started to think I was going to lose my mind. Here's a funny story, mate. My mate's wife, right? He, she's like close to 50, really nice lady, like kind of lady like buys art and like interior decorator and this and that and the rest of it. And my mate went and he bought a coffee for her and he put the coffee down. And then I don't know why he fucking did this, but he put this hash cookie that he had and it was like real fucking potent one, you know? And the guys around here have some fucking ones that put you on your ass. Like, and he wrote on it, please don't eat this cookie. And his wife thought she thought he was being a smartass. And she goes, what's this guy, telling me not to eat this cookie? She grabbed the whole thing, put it in her mouth, ate it, like this 50-year-old woman. And it hit her so fucking bad, right? No one else was home. She thought she didn't know as well because she doesn't smoke pot. She's got nothing to do with it. She just thought somebody poisoned her. And another mate of mine, he was working on a house 2 or 3 houses away, and he was working on the roof. And he looked over, and he saw my mate's wife like crawling, like on like army crawling through the mud, going and she didn't know where she was or what had happened to her. She had no idea. She just could feel that she was losing her mind. Mind you, this is someone that has no experience with it. And yeah, man, she was so fucking bad. They took her to hospital. Here's a little bit of trivia. They don't do anything for you when you get in the hospital. They just strapped her down like it was the 1920s or something. They just strapped her down to a stretcher, and then her husband, my friend, was there, like just telling her, "Look, I won't say her name, but look, so and so, it's just relax, it's me, just relax, it's me." And he said his name, just calm down, da 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 da. And she was out of her fucking mind for hours. So that's yeah, that's her. So yes, those edibles can go crazy. Peasy says I've got 250 on Izzy to win by KO. It could happen, man. It could happen. Sorry, I'm skipping a few. Madmar says for someone down under, what does a Master of Sport title mean in sports? It's in the Soviet system, so and so some of the other countries other than Russia have adopted it, like Ukraine, Belarus, and that they also have masters of sport. So a master of sport is someone who places in the top three in a given sport at a national level. An international master of sport is someone who places in a podium finish in the top three at an international level. You know, so when you see these Russian dudes that are like master of sport in wrestling, it means they had a podium finish in fucking Russia in wrestling, which is no fucking joke. Like if you top three in Russia in wrestling, it means you pretty much walk onto any other national team in the world. That's how good the Russians are, you know, at wrestling. So these like a Peter Yan that I think is an international master of sport in boxing means that he podium finished at the amateur level internationally. You know, so that's a very high level, very very high level. Um, Andre says, surely doctors wouldn't let a guy fight if he had food poisoning, right? Mate, they will make you fight. They will, like the UFC, and that will, I'm not going to say make you fight. Please, no one from the UFC like take this the wrong way or shoot me or get me killed or something. Um, they've got a show to run, and their primary objective is to make sure that their fighters fight. So they'll do everything in their power to make sure that you will fight. So a lot of fighters have had food poisoning the night before and then fought the next day. So that's not new. That will happen. Corey McManus says, Ian Ma, do you own land in Scotland? And if so, does that actually make you a lord? Ian Ma. Oliver Ekman, very good. Okay. Michael Wood, please keep saying Moreno doesn't have power, but he had Figgy rocked hard. In my opinion, was close to finishing. Oh, people keep saying Moreno doesn't have power, but he had Figgy rocked hard. In my opinion, was close to finishing. I don't think that he doesn't have power. I just don't think he has the power like Figgy does. That's all. He doesn't have like that one stop, boom, knock you into next week stuff. Um, Mad Mas says at Oliver Ekman. I don't know if you guys want to share what that was. I don't know. Chill says I feel like Nate is overrated at this point in his career. I don't know if he's overrated. I don't think depends how high people rate him. I don't know. I think that Nate's a tough fight for anyone. I don't necessarily think that he will go and win the title. Like he could win the title on that day if it's his day, but I can't see him getting through, the top guys one after the other. I just don't see it. I don't see him beating like say for example, if he fought Masvidal, right? Could he beat Masvidal? Maybe, probably not, but maybe. But I don't see him beating Masvidal, beating Gilbert Burns, beating Colby Covington, beating Usman, going on that kind of run. I don't see that happening. So that I said to me, he's not overrated. To me, he's like a good, tough fighter that's got nice hands and very good jiu-jitsu and killer cardio with a great chin who cuts very easily. But that doesn't mean that, like, I don't know if people rate him more than that. I don't know. Can he beat anyone on any given night? Yeah, probably, for sure. Ravi says, do you think smoke will impact Nate cardio? Nah. Nah. Pip Dennison, he's laughing. Oh, Pip. What are we going to do with you, mate? Ian Ma, yes, Corey, I'm the Lord of Jobby. Okay. I don't think, Dante, that they're still doing I don't think that marijuana is on the ban list anymore. Sage says, stop swearing, Fab. My kid is watching. I'll do my best, Sage. I'll do my best. Will Gardner says, I read Nate sleeps in an oxygen tank, so I doubt the smoking will affect him much. Nilius Menace says, Master of Sports. Okay. The Hungarian Hustler says, Fab, listening to Nate talking, clearly see the hours in the cage are affecting him. Already speech wise. I'm a massive Leon fan, and I'm afraid he's going to smash Nate. Nate doesn't deserve that. I agree. I don't know if the slurring and the speech and that Nate always spoke like that. You know what I mean? He always spoke kind of funny. So I don't know. But dude, I wouldn't be surprised because he's taken a hell of a lot of punishment. A hell of a lot. Steve Booth says, bless you, Fab, and you are as cool as my Melbourne living room right now. Dude, how cold is it here for us? If for the Europeans and people in the Northern Hemisphere, I'm sure it's not cold. But for us, it's cold. Um, okay. Oliver Ackerman says Nate's always been like that at the Hungarian Hustler. He has, but in fairness, I do agree with you. Um, he's taken some fucking shots, dude. Master of Sport was established in USSR. Yeah, that's the Soviet bloc. Um, okay, I'm just gonna miss a few guys. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just jumping ahead because I've got a lot of comments. Just trying to get. Okay, James B says surfing in Australia is dangerous though. Sharks, jellyfish. I'll tell you a story about that, man. My friend of mine was here, and his friend was surfing in overseas. I'm not going to say where or anything because I just had a respect for people. And no, he wasn't surfing overseas. Actually, he was surfing here somewhere, and it was on big waves, but he didn't have the proper suit that they could come by on the jet ski and just grab the guy. I think he was surfing without a shirt on, and when they tried, he got wiped out and hit the reef with his head. And when they went to grab him, I think he was slick from sunscreen, or he just didn't have like the proper suit where you got like these handles that they can grab you with. And they tried to grab him, they couldn't grab him, and the guy, his body, they couldn't find his body, and he wasn't from here. He wasn't from here, and so they couldn't identify. They didn't know who he actually was. They found his surfboard, and this is not that long ago, and they put the surfboard up on things. Said, "Does anyone know who this board belongs to?" And my friend that lives here recognized the board, and yeah, lo and behold, it was his friend that passed. So that yes, surfing is very dangerous, man. Big waves, sharks, jellyfish. Up north, there's crocodiles in the water as well. Then there's Urakanji, which is little fish that little like jellyfish things, like tiny ones that'll kill you as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the water that'll kill you. Oh yes, Amasov. Someone's good. Someone, a man after my own heart, Suhaib. I think Amasov has a skill set to beat Lima. Man, I think Amasov has a skill set to beat pretty much anyone running around, man. Like he's a very, very good fighter, is Amasov. James B, I can't sleep before I drink coffee. No fucking chance I can sleep before I drink coffee. Um, yeah, man. Yeah. So Amasov is a very, very good. Another guy who I believe is from the Ukraine, and he has a Master of Sport title or an international Master of Sports title from the Ukraine. Very, very, very good fighter. Um, Hassan Ahmed, he's here, he's back. Hey lads, just woke up 10:17 a.m. in England. Laugh out loud, bit late, but it's the holidays. Welcome, Hassan. Love having you here, mate. Glad to have you here. Thank you so much. Conscientious Objector says, if you have zero or low tolerance, then edibles are a very bad idea. Oh, we know that, sir. We know that now. Um, a Hungarian hustler says, I've never tried coffee, but live for 20, laugh out loud. I don't know what that means. I'm going to skip a few. It's funny because it's so far behind from what I'm saying. All right, Steve Booth says, "Thank you very much, Steve, for your support." Vettori struggled with Kevin Holland's striking, Fab. Does he just have a puncher's chance, or is Izzy's style more normal to solve? Ah, man, that's like a how long is a piece of string thing. I don't know that Vettori struggled that much with Kevin Holland striking because he kept taking him down. You know what I mean? And it actually, to me, showed real good IQ on his part because why would you stand and try and work that puzzle out when you have the like comparing the wrestling defense was like cutting cutting hay with a chainsaw. It'd be silly for him to try and solve that puzzle of Kevin Holland striking. Um, so no, I think he has much more than a puncher's chance against Israel. And actually, I don't think that that's where his chance lies in his power punching. He's not a power puncher. I mean, he's got power. Like, when I say that and people go, "You dropped Hermanson," I know he dropped Hermanson. I'm not saying, I'm not saying I want Vettori to punch me fair in the fucking face and see how much power he has. I'm sure he'll knock me out, but I'm talking about these dudes that would hit people and just sleep them. You know what I mean? And there's other dudes that don't necessarily do that. It could be a timing thing, could be a speed thing. He's obviously a very very strong man. So yeah, I don't think Vittori it even came into it where Vittori was like, "Do I try and solve this riddle of the striking out?" Because I think he was getting Holland down with such ease that he just kept doing that. Um, the conscientious objector says, "Remember, they let Bisping fight with one eye, dude. If you're willing to take the fight, they will roll you out on a stretcher." Oliver Eckerman says, "Fab struggling to zip the coat, mate. Down here, we don't. I don't often do it. That was pretty difficult, but I managed it." Chill says Nate Diaz is a tough fighter with a prestigious career behind him, but I don't know if he should be fighting guys like Edwards at this point. That is true. That's 100% true. I'm gonna keep going. Rohan Lal says, "Where are you from?" Um, where am I from? I'm from Sydney, Australia, Southwest Sydney. That's why I talk like this, Rohan. Pip Dennison says Jodes was crying with laughter with that last story. The assuming you talk potentially the last Maya fight. I mean, I mean, Bilal is a tough guy. I think that Maya can beat him too because Bilal's like a tough dude that comes forward. He's got some good boxing. He's got some good kicking there. But he's not he can keep the fight on the feet. But Maya's so good at shooting that double or that single and then turning it into a half guard and turning that into a half guard sweep and getting that fight on the ground and going into deep half and just putting you into his web. That I think Maya could do it even at the ripe old age. I'm skipping a few guys. Nilius says it's 12:30 p.m. here in Bahrain. I have been gambling all day, haven't slept till now. Laugh out loud. Hope you won, brother. Hope you won. Um, Rogue Strummer says we'll find out how good Amosov is very soon. Any opinions on the Paul Craig fight? Let me just see something. I just want to check that, make sure that I'm not talking silliness. I think Hill. It's sorry to be so black and white about it. Either Paul Craig shoots a double, gets him down, or shoots a double and pulls guard, which is what he does, and works from there. Maybe gets a submission, or if they stand, he'll knock him out. That's how I see it going. Do I think Volk could do damage at 155? Yes, I do think he can do damage at 155. But like I've said before, um, I've said before that he loses a mechanical advantage that he has at featherweight at 155. 155, dude, like you get guys and they're fucking big, man. They're big boys at 155. They're big guys. And Alex, like when we had him on the podcast here, like when he was sitting on that chair, like his feet didn't touch the ground. He's a short guy. He's a little guy. He's like a full little nuggety dude. And if he hits you at 155, you're gonna fucking feel it. But he's short. He's a short guy, and he'll lose a lot of that mechanical advantage. Whereas guys like there's somebody was saying it before, like they're asking me, well, what about Hooker? He went from featherweight to lightweight, but Hooker could fight at welterweight, dude. He's a big guy. You get what I mean? Like he's a big guy, could fight comfortably at welterweight or at lightweight, and he'll be fine. Because he's a broader frame. He doesn't lose the reach. It's like kind of like Chandler going up to welterweight. He'll be strong. If he hits someone, he's going to hurt him and whatnot. But he's going to lose a lot of that advantage that he has at fighting at lightweight. Um, Jason Correa says Vettori had full top control for most of. Man, it was very funny. I didn't see it. Sorry, guys. I've just skipped a couple. Okay. Sorry, I've skipped a few guys. I apologize. The conscientious objector. I agree with you, but speaking from elite athlete's perspective, he'll be more determined. Okay, sorry, that was someone talking to someone else. Beetlejuice. Hey, Fabinator, a bit late, but could you please explain? I took copious amounts of drugs in my teens and early 20s, and now I can't have a coffee without having a crippling anxiety attack. What the shit? Fucking, how do you want me to explain that, mate? Um, I don't know, but you know what, man? A lot of the times, like we take drugs for all sorts of different reasons. You know what I mean? You might have been like, without knowing, unbeknownst to you, been uh, like even self-medicating with for anxiety, and that whatever drugs you took probably made that anxiety go away or feel better or whatnot. And coffee's only gonna fucking smash the anxiety. And also, who knows, like what your serotonin levels and whatnot are at after having, smashed yourself like the way you said. I don't know. I don't know anything about you, and I don't know what drugs you took, how much drugs you took, why you took them. So I think that matters a lot. But again, like I said, I think different things affect different people differently, and different people take drugs for different reasons. Like I said, I've got friends that they can have like hash cookies and they're better for it. They feel better for it and they're able to do things. I can't. I can't even have coffee. If I have coffee, my friends know I had a coffee, and they're like, or not even a coffee. I can have 2 sips of coffee, dude, and I fucking see the Matrix. Um, so somebody says Dine says if Izzy lost the belt and he moved up to 205, Usman talked about moving up. If that happened, how do you think he'll do in the division? Again, I think it's one of those things. I think Usman, I've seen Usman in real life. He's big welterweight, but he wouldn't be a huge middleweight. Do you get what I mean? He's not. And I think he'll do well because he's a fantastic fighter. But again, I think he loses some of that mechanical advantage. And I think that the way that Usman fights, again, it's one of those things. It's the way that he fights. He's a big, strong guy at welterweight, great wrestler, similar to Khabib, kind of similar to Volkov, except Volkanovski's also a very good kickboxer. But all these guys, they're all good. And they're guys that will maul you. You know what I mean? Like Usman will grab you, maul you. Harder to do that with the guys that are bigger than you, naturally bigger. Like when you see Usman standing next to other middleweights and that, like proper middleweights, he's not as big, man. He's not as big. Like you see him next to Israel or next to Rob, and I've seen him in real life. I've met him in real life. He's a big guy, but he's not as big as the big middleweights. Not saying that he wouldn't do well. He'd do very well because he's a very good fighter. Would he be as successful as he was at welterweight? I don't think so. Oliver, no, I'm not making fun of his height. I'm just saying he's a short guy, Oliver. I'm not making fun of his height. I'm just saying he's like a little guy. But he's fucking like he's built like a brick, like a fire hydrant. Um Ken Ahuna says Eddie Bravo's talked about rolling high, and Joe Rogan says the same. Laugh out loud. Some people built different. Yeah, dude. If I tried to roll high, I'd think that aliens are going to come get me. It wouldn't be good for me. 46 Vet says, "Hey, I remember you." Okay. Beetlejuice says, "You're bloody spot on, Fabsky. Great point, mate. I feel you, mate. I thought I was the only one who got affected by caffeine like that. Nah, dude. I got a lot of friends that when they have caffeine, they get smashed. Also, people don't understand. Like when you talk about anxiety, right? when you get medicated for anxiety, one of the big things they give you when you're having anxiety attacks or panic attacks is Valium, and Valium's basically like alcohol. Then you think how prevalent alcohol is in our culture. You start to think how many people go, "Oh, I just need a beer or I just need a glass of wine to relax." And basically, what they're doing is self medicating for anxiety with alcohol. So a lot of people don't associate themselves with having anxiety, but they medicate themselves with a few drinks at the end of the day, and you're self-medicating with wine or alcohol or whatever. Yoel Romero was the biggest middleweight Paul. Like Paula, Yoel is big in middleweight, but he's not the biggest middleweight. Like when you see him in real life, he's like jacked, like he could win a bodybuilding contest. You know what I mean? He's like jacked. But there's guys at middleweight that were big, like they were just taller and bigger and thicker bones and that. Like Romero's big and he's jacked, but he's not. He wasn't like the biggest middleweight out of the guys I've seen live. Um, Volko could be a champ. He could. You know. Um, Suyeb says Whitaker poses more problems to Usman than Izzy poses to Usman. I think either one of those guys beats Usman pretty bad. That's my opinion. Um, Leon is tall, sir. From I Am the Belt. Genuine Athletics. Do you think Davison will have enough power to finish Moreno this time around without two weight cuts in a row? Yeah, I think all of those things matter. You know what I mean? I do think all of those things matter. Um, yeah. Oliver Heckman says, look at this guy, Oliver Heckman, just trying to start trouble. The conscientious objector, Volker versus Poirier. Who wouldn't pay to see that fight? That'd be an interesting fight, but I'm telling you, Poirier will be a lot taller than Volkanovski. But I'd love to see that fight. I hope Volkanovski wins. 46 vet says Wonder Boy in middleweight, yay or nay? Again, that's another guy, man, that he's not that big. He's not at welterweight even. He's not that big of a guy. Um, and I don't know how him getting bigger would affect his movement and whatnot, especially at this age. He's not that big of a guy. Um, Beetlejuice says, yeah, so true. Self medicating without even realizing. I've been clean for 10 years. Food is now my weakness. It's delicious. Hey, have you put any thought of holding a paid event for your fans? Beetlejuice, one thing is, yeah, food has always been my thing, eh? Food is my weakness. It's something I have to be real conscious of. Because I love eating. My wife's a very good cook. My mother-in-law's a very good cook. My mum's a very good cook. So yeah, the food is always tempting for me. I love it. So I have to be very careful with that. Have you put any thought of holding a paid event for your fans? I'd like to put on an event, but I think I'm not at a stage yet where the podcast is big enough to warrant that. Otherwise, yeah, I'd love to do that. I would love to do it. I'd 100 billion% would love to do that. As soon as it's big enough, I would love to do it. I'd love to be able to have a paid event and do it. That'd be that'd be where we want to take the show, right? Like that's where I want to go. Um, okay. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna miss a few. I Am the Belt at 2 pounds says Connor is a harder matchup for Volk than Max. Could be, could be. But you were talking about at lightweight, right? Because at featherweight it's a different story as well. But at lightweight is different, man. I think featherweight's different, dude. Volkanovski a fucking featherweight. Dude, I'm telling you, this guy is like a gorilla. He's like a little gorilla. I'm not like I've dealt with him, I've coached him and a little bit. Not I helped out. I wasn't going to say I coached him. I helped out at his gym for about 8 or 9 weeks. With Joe Lopez asked me to go there and just do some stuff with him. And he's a fucking gorilla, dude. He is a little like pocket rocket, dude. No, at featherweight, I look at him and I think, fuck, dude. Like his legs are like fire hydrants, man. He's so strong and big, but short. Like so, featherweight's different story. Um, Salah Ahmed says, "Hey Fab, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you cheering for Vittori since you're of Italian heritage yourself?" I'm not of Italian heritage. My family is actually we're from Uruguay, so my on my father's side, my grandmother is part indigenous, and I don't know what mix. Like I don't know what mix we are. You know, on my father's on my maternal grandmother's side, I don't know. We're some sort of something. You know, my grandmother looked like the last of the Mohicans. May she rest in peace. Um, my on my mum's side, my mum's side are Rangers. You know, my mum's a Ranger, and they're white. They're very very fair. My dad's like me, and my mum's side are very 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 fair, and they are French Basque. You know, from the French Basque region, so from Basque country. So that's the where my heritage is from. My surname ITTE is from French background, and my mum's both sides of my family though, not my maternal grandmother, but everybody else, actually came down from Brazil, and then prior to that, like generations back, both sides from the French Basque country. So no, I'm not going for either one of them. Uh, Corey McManus says, "I bloody love women who cook." At the risk of sounding misogynistic, yes, I do too. Um, so I'm skipping a few. What's your early prediction for Volk versus Ortega? I think that Volkanovski. I've said this before and a few other things. He's a bit too tricky on the feet. Like he knows what to do. He knows he's got a lot of different trappings and angles and different things that he does. Um, yeah, he's really good, man. He's fucking clever on his feet, man. I'm telling you. And I think Ortega's very, very good. Like he's boxed for a long time. Like he's got a new boxing coach now, but he had a great boxing coach before. I hate when they do that. They just shit on the old coach. I'm not saying Ortega did. I'm just saying people kind of do. And like it's he's changed. He's been boxing with this guy for a year, and you know now he's completely no, dude. He boxes with a guy for however many years. What you see, 90% of it is what he did with the other guy. This new guy, credit to him, might have changed a few things, given him a fresh look. Maybe it was what Ortega needed, but like, you know what I mean? You spend since you're 15 with someone, and fuck that works from there. You know what I mean? So why I say that is because Ortega's got very good knowledge of boxing, and he's got very, 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 very good jiu-jitsu. But Alex, again, like I said, is built like a tank, very hard to take down. Um, very good with his stand up, very, very good with his stand up. And then on the ground, jiu-jitsu wise, I do think Ortega's on another level. But Alex is smart. He's not going to take him down in the middle of the octagon and play jiu-jitsu with him. He's not going to do that. He will pick the shots that he wants to do. When I say shots, I mean like the double legs or the whatever he's going to use to take him down, and he's going to hit him with some big power shots, man. I think. And then if it gets to the ground against the fence, it's a little bit of a different story. So I do think that Volkanovski's going to win that one. Dylan B says egghead. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Corey McManus says he's an absolute turbo manlet, mate. He's a monster. I'm telling you. Eric Wren says if Edwards beats Diaz, do you think Edwards deserves a title shot next? Yeah, man. He's won about a million fights in a row. Suyeb says Chad Mendes took down Connor, but Volkanovski gas tank is much better than Mendes, in my opinion, and Volk has leg kicks. I agree. I agree. And his stand up is better than Chad's. Chad's a better wrestler than Volkanovski, but he's Volkanovski's stand up is better than Chad's, I think. Corey McManus says Ortega is a weird guy, though. I bet Volk was weirded out by him. I do not know. Um, sorry, I'm just going through a few. Henry Appleby says, Fab, do you think the mindset of a fighter martial artist can translate into helping other disciplines? I'm a musician and try and incorporate it as much as possible. Love from London. I think I think if having a strong mindset is what's going to help you be a good martial artist or fighter or musician or whatever. And then whatever discipline you're going to do is going to help you keep doing like it keep help you keep honing your mindset. And then your mindset's going to keep helping you um with with whatever you're doing. Having said that, I think people look at it too much like where they go, oh, these fighters are da da da. Because you got to understand, like these guys that fight, they're very good at fighting. That doesn't mean that they're great people. That doesn't mean that they are like that it's transferable anywhere else. Because fighting for them is not as hard as it is for a normal person. It's like I don't know, being a great surfer. Like he's a great surfer. That doesn't mean that he's going to be able to apply that to everything else in his life just because he's a better surfer than you. You know what I mean? Um, So yeah, like look, but then I will say this: training martial arts, I think, teaches you. I just finished teaching a kids class. Training martial arts helps you understand, helps you with discipline. Helps you. There's kids that don't understand. Like I say, no, you can't. Like I just had this conversation with a kid today in wrestling class, and I said to the whole class, like, listen, you're here to wrestle. This isn't school. I'm not. I don't care if you don't want to be here. Don't be here. Like it's not school. I'm not gonna put your name on the board and ask you, oh, please come to wrestling class. No, this is wrestling. You're here to wrestle. You're not here to do anything else. And you can't you can't pick who you wrestle. You can take a beating. That's okay. You can lose. That's fine. But you can't like give up or not try hard or whatever. So you got to do that correctly. And this kid is 5 years old, puts his hand up and goes, excuse me, Fab. And I said, yes, mate. And he goes to me, are we not here for fun and entertainment as well? And I said to him, that's not that's not the objective. That might be the result thereof, having fun and entertainment, but you're here to wrestle, and the rest of it, well, is what happens. And so my point with that is, I think that discipline from doing for a long time, I think is very important because people need structure, and you need structure in your life. You need discipline, and you need that, and then you can apply that to anything else. But how good you are of a fighter doesn't fucking matter, man, because you can be a great fighter. Like there's dudes that can hear a beat and sing, and not everyone can do that. That doesn't How good you are at fighting doesn't mean you're going to be able to transfer that to anywhere else. But having that discipline and the rest of it is yeah, that's transferable. Basque people have the highest level of Rh negative blood, super rare. I do not though. I do not. Um, Lucian Fox says, I think Ortega is a bad matchup for Alex. Going to catch him with an uppercut, in my opinion. He could. He could. Um, Dine says, has there ever been a fighter you were straight up in awe when you met them, but still had to act professional? Honestly, dude, because I've worked with a lot of elite athletes, I've worked with a lot of elite athletes, and I know that they're just people. No, the honest truth is that. But having said that, there are dudes that like I am in awe of their physical abilities. Like man, one of the guys that not a fighter, wasn't a fighter, but one of the dudes that like surprised me, like shocked me at was Greg Inglis. For anyone from Australia, if you don't know who Greg Inglis is, look him up. Greg Inglis, Inglis. Played for Rabbitohs, played for Storm, man, this guy, honestly, I've worked with a lot of good athletes, like a lot of good athletes across a whole bunch of different sports. This guy was one of the guys that just like freaked me out how much of a freak of an athlete he was. Just how fucking strong he was. He's so strong and fast and just a freak of nature, dude. Too like just watching his lifts and everything that he was just a freak of nature. I have not really seen anyone else like that, and when he was at his peak, it was really, really scary guy. So no, I don't like lose my shit when I see people like that because, like I said to you, I've dealt with many people, like many, many, many athletes, and some of them, I'll tell you the truth, guys, is don't meet your heroes. Like don't like some of the stuff you see is not not how people are. You know what I mean? Like it's all. That's why I don't watch the press conferences and all of that. It's all a game. So I don't get any enjoyment. I can see how it's fun for other people to watch it though. I do get that. So and sometimes I watched a little bit of Israel and Vettori talking to each other on the having that argument. I don't know who was interviewing them. I can't even remember. And that was funny for a little bit, but I can only watch 90 seconds of it, and then it gets boring. Do you think Chandler hits the hardest out of all the lightweights? Sorry, man, I cannot say your name. Um, I definitely think he is one of the big hitters in that division for sure, for sure. Um, Sorry guys, I'm going to miss a few. Oliver Ekman says, "Was that when you punched that kid?" No, he's 5 years old. User says, "What is your opinion?" Oh, Sam Osmond says, "Whitaker versus Costa. How does it go?" Rob, honestly, no disrespect to Costa. I actually like Costa, but I think Rob smashes him like Israel. The same, if not worse. Like I see him smashing him, like just being way too fast on that jab, um, kicking the shit out of his legs, basically doing what Israel did. You know, different because they move different. They're different kind of, but the same kind of thing. Just hitting real fast on that jab, blitzing in and out, and chopping the legs. That's what I see Rob doing. Um, so what was the other question somebody had asked? Says Corey McManus says Fab out he beating the living piss out of the kids like that sensei from Karate Kid. Nah, man, I don't actually even I don't have anything to do with that. Eric Wren says, "What do you think?" Says, "What do you think the success factors will be for Riddell to get the win over Doba? That fight is going to be nuts, man. I'm looking forward to that fight. Huge, huge Brad Riddell fan. Love watching that guy fight. Love that style. Um, for Riddell, he has to keep the fight on the feet. He has to keep the fight moving. The thing is, for all the striking that he does, right, and he's knocked out some good guys in the striking realm as well. Don't get me wrong, and he's gone the distance with some fucking good, like Cedric with the Immortal. He's gone the distance with a lot of these good guys, but he doesn't knock people out. Even in the UFC, he's not. He's dropped a few people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not again. People are saying he doesn't have power. No, he does have power. He's an elite kickboxer. But if you look at a lot of his fights, they go to decision. Um, and so Doba might be able to come with it. He might be able to come with it. Um, but I don't see Riddell like having a lot of problems with Dober on the feet. I just don't. The conscientious objector says, "Do MMA judges even watch the fights?" Look, sometimes they're really bad, but it's a fucking tough sport, dude. It's a tough sport. It's a tough sport to judge. It's a tough sport to judge, man. Um, so I do give. I don't want to shit on the refs as bad as everyone does, man. Like it's not. It's not. Yeah, Brad Riddell is a better kickboxer than Doba, but Doba's a more well-rounded mixed martial artist, in my opinion. I agree with you, Suhaib. Um, okay. Okay. So, anyways, guys, I am now going to leave. And I want to thank everyone so much for joining me on this podcast. I had a great time. I really, really enjoyed it. Please join us tomorrow morning for the Bellator card. That's at 11 a.m. We will be running that podcast. We will probably have some of the new name and everything changed by maybe by tomorrow, but more than likely by Sunday. So, guys, thank you so much, man, for supporting. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I really, really appreciate it. Um, so yeah, man, I love doing this. So thank you so much. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.